Welcome everyone. I am so excited to be launching this first of 12 labs. I'm so excited about the curriculum that we put together. The thing that I thought would be a good cornerstone, which is why so many artists have spoken to me and come through my doors over the years, is of course music publicity. I am going to empower you to do all of your own publicity, because the publicity world has radically shifted, especially in the last 12 to 18 months. So much so that I actually feel like I don't even want to do the types of PR campaigns that we used to do traditionally here at Cyber PR, because they're not getting the same results that they used to. And I'm going to talk about why. And PR now has many facets that artists should be in control of, and that I think once you can grasp what it is I'm going to be teaching in these 3 modules, you will see that most of publicity is not even about the actual act of pitching and getting the PR. It's really about the preparation. So it's measure 50 times, cut once. So in that spirit, tonight is measuring, where it's all about the measuring and the getting you primed. Tonight is all about preparing for publicity. So I am so excited about this class. There are so many interesting types of artists. I hope you guys get to know each other on the forums. There's shaman healers, there's children's artists, there's a Celtic artist from Australia. There's a fabulous singer who I've known for many years, who was actually at my first lecture ever, who's now living in Paris. So I hope you get to know each other, because I think it would be very beneficial. And I hope that you'll help each other along as I help you along this journey, because after having launched thousands of PR campaigns over the years, I can tell you it takes a village to get all this stuff done. So PR has radically changed. Why has it radically changed? Well, the first thing you want to know, and of course you probably already do know if you subscribe to music magazines or newspapers, is that is no longer the way that people primarily receive their news. Most people are now getting their news from social media feeds, from their friends. I know when I started my business 22 years ago, I had a database of over 20,000 newspapers, magazines, TV, radio, and back then they were called fanzines. Now, of course, those are blogs. But I saw the death of all of the traditional media. So many newspapers went out of business. If you subscribe to Rolling Stone, you know it's like wafer thin compared to what it used to be back in its heyday. It was this thick, glossy book. So things have changed radically. And there are now more publicists than there have ever been in the past. There's a harrowing statistic. For every 1 journalist, there are now 7 publicists working in the publicity field. I would take a gander and say there's probably over 1,000 indie music PR firms. I am a member of the PR list, which is a list where music publicists talk all day. We help each other out with different things, like if a writer moves to a new publication, or if someone's having trouble tracking someone down, or there's questions about something. And there's about 600 publicists on that list alone, the PR list. And that's just music publicity. So you can imagine. Stuff is crazy. So the other thing that's also changed about music PR is the zeitgeist. And when I first started getting into the digital world, after I saw the death of all the sort of magazines and newspapers, and that wasn't going to go so well, any kind of music could be promoted. There were tons of outlets, especially in the early days of digital. There were all these wonderful fanzines and web rings and little people writing about music that they felt passionate about. And I could work anything: smooth jazz, vocal, a cappella, strange, electronic, experimental, Celtic, you name it, we could do it. And over the last year especially, I've noticed a lot of those writers and music bloggers, they've just given up Everything is moving over towards Spotify now, which I'm going to cover in this course a little bit because it's very important for your PR strategy. And so the zeitgeist now is music blogs. And these music blogs that are very popular, like your Pitchforks, your Stereo Gums, your Brooklyn Vegans, your Drowned in Sounds, you know, the ones that you might know when you Google top 10 music blogs, they tend to only cover indie rock, hip hop, EDM, and chill wave. So if you're not making that kind of music, it can feel very, very frustrating. Like, where are you supposed to put your PR if you're not making that hot, trendy music that seems to be what all the music blogs are covering? I will help you with that in this course. We will talk about some wonderful opportunities where you can get your own PR. And so that is something I do want you to be aware of, that if you just hire any PR firm and you don't make really trendy of the moment music, like I just mentioned, it's going to be very hard for them to get you results. So in order to prepare for publicity, you need to understand that it's not only about the quality of your music and what your music looks like. So it used to be just about that. When I was a traditional publicist, it was about send the CD or the cassette tape, and you had a press release and a headshot, and that was enough to get publicity. Now, of course, with social media, the journalists can go to your Facebook page, go to your Twitter, look at your Instagram. They can judge you very quickly on your audience by taking a little spin around. So in order to prepare for publicity, you need to get your social media and your marketing house and your brand in order. I have given you 4 action sheets for this class, and they all work in order, so do run through them in order. So they are as follows. The first action sheet is going to talk about the real core of your publicity. And for those of you that have tried to get publicity and failed in the past, I would take a gander that aside from not having a strong brand and social media, you might be struggling because you also don't have a signature story. Now, back in the day, we had band biographies or artist biographies, and those were sufficient. And those were very much like a CV. And it would say, I am this artist, this is what I studied, this is what I know, this is where I went to school, or this is where I learned how to play music, here's a list of venues I've played, here's the people I've opened for. And very much your bio, your band biography or artist biography was like a factual list of stuff, like a resume. That doesn't cut it anymore. We have entered into a new dawn of stories, story-based things. And if you've ever watched a TED Talk or been alive for 2 minutes and what put TV on, you will see that even in our advertising today, everything is story-based. The thing that I love to laugh at is the Tide commercial with the little baby that puts the Tide pod in their mouth, and the whole commercial is about how Tide is taking care of your family because they're showing you not to poison your baby. That's a signature story. It used to be that when you went to look at a Tide commercial 10 years ago, it was more like that artist biography. Tide makes your clothing clean. It has bleach. Here's a stain that it's going to get out, right? Now we're looking at a baby crawling on the floor eating a Tide pod, and we're resonating with the story of Tide that they're keeping our families safe. So your signature story is, what are you doing to keep your family safe, right? What is the little nugget about you that is different and special and noteworthy for the media? So if you look on the Facebook page, you'll see under units, there is 4 action sheets there. The first one is 12 questions to help you shape your signature story. So take a look through that when you get a chance. And I would urge you and encourage you to even write it out freehand. Don't do it on a computer. It's sometimes you get ideas and things come to mind when you write longhand the old-fashioned way with a pen. And And what that exercise is going to do is really try to help you identify a little nugget to weave into your story. Now, it doesn't have to be some sort of epic, terrible thing, although I do have many clients that have epic stories that are part of their artist signature story. For example, I have a very dear friend, Fabian Asaltani. He was diagnosed with cancer, and while he was in cancer treatment, in his mind he kept thinking, I didn't record that album I always meant to record. So that's part of his signature story. That might not be your signature story. It can be something as simple as an artist we work with named Rennie Lopez. He talks about his dad was a timbale player, and when he was 8 years old, he was standing in the wings watching his dad on stage. His dad actually played with Tito Puente, and he remembered having that moment that we all have in our heads when we decide we want to make music for a living. So that's his signature story. And again, a signature story is an interesting nugget and is not the full picture and does not have to be something that you live into forever. You can just make one for now, and you can have a different signature story for every EP or every pitch. So you can experiment with these. So as you go through the 12 questions and you begin to identify what your little nugget is, you will make some notes for that. And it's very important to have a short form bio and a long form bio for your website. And they should include some of the important things, like I mentioned, like maybe if you studied music or where you get your inspiration from, but you don't want to pack all of that into the signature story nugget. So the next part of your house that you need to have in order before you go for publicity is your brand. And your brand these days really is about two main components, aside from your music. Your music is, of course, is the cornerstone. The brand is how you visually look, so your photographs, your colors, your themes. Do you have a logo? Do you have a cartoon representation of yourself? Do you have something edgy? You have to really think about, what does your brand look like visually? And then the second part of your brand is your social media. It's what are you saying every day across your social channels. And your social channels should all be at least somewhat active, especially as you're going to be pitching for PR. So you want to do your Facebook, which I know a lot of people are not thrilled with Facebook, but you do want to be posting there. Instagram, of course, a very visual, wonderful place to show off brand. If your brand is colorful or black and white or edgy or funny, that can be very easily visually represented on Insta. Twitter is necessary, especially if you're going after some more of the mainstream journalists. They are still on Twitter. They are going to want to see you tweeting. And Twitter has a little bit more flexibility because you can tweet articles or things that are of interest, or retweet other people. So you definitely want to have that firing. So remember, as you're pitching your music to journalists or bloggers or podcasters or whatever it is you decide, as we move through this course, I will help you create your pitch list. You do want to keep in mind that the media will be dancing around your social media sites after you send your pitch and looking you up to see if you're worthy of their press. So you do want to make sure your social media house is in order. And before that, you want to make sure that you have your social media themes. So that is what action sheet number 2 this week is going to talk about. I've printed it out. It's a very simple one, and it just looks like this. It's got your 5 social themes. Your first social theme is always going to be your music. So tracks you're promoting, backstage, in the studio, your writing process, your band members, your producer, your players. I mean, there's a lot of things that fall under that music category. So you want to make sure that that is theme number 1. And then you've got a little bit of room to play for your other themes. So after you come up with your signature story, you might want to think about what themes fit into your signature story. So if your signature story is about moving to a new place or playing music somewhere geographically, maybe one of your social themes is that place. So if you're from a certain place like New York or Nashville or Hawaii, wherever it is, Paris, one of your social themes could be things happening around your town or artists from your town or city. That could be one. If your signature story pertains to wanting to use your music to heal or help others, there's quite a few people in this course, which I'm really excited about, who are using their music for healing and helping. So maybe that's going to be one of your social themes, where you're talking about healing or quoting other healers or talking about things that pertain to your theme. There's a couple of yogis. Maybe you want yoga to be one of your themes. Maybe you're a really funny person and you like hilarious videos or stand-up comedy or things that make people laugh. You could make memes one of your themes. Maybe you have a pet, a dog, a cat, something that you love. If you look on my Instagram, you will see Hunter the cat is definitely one of my themes. I rescued her. She brings me a lot of joy. She's sitting right here watching me live stream right now. So on Catterday, I will tend to post about my cat. So you want to get your themes. You want to have 3 to 5 themes. Moving into action sheet number 3, after you've got your signature story and your themes, which are really the foundation of your PR to launch off, you do want to take a little bit of stock around your social media presence. So action sheet number 3 is actually pretty intense. It's a 2-parter. And what you'll notice about it is it will help you analyze your entire social media presence. And this is actually a process that we use here at Cyber PR. When we get new clients, we take them through this process where we go through and make sure that things are not forgotten and all your social presence is really in order, and it prompts you to go through that. There are exactly 30 questions to get through. And then once you've got those 30 checked off, or at least you're aware of what needs to be looked at and fixed over the next few weeks as you're moving into pitching for PR, the last and the second part is something we call the 3 C's here at Cyber PR. It's creating consistent, compelling content. Consistent, compelling content. So I ask a lot of questions on that action sheet about your favorite artists, who you sound like, maybe gadgets that you use, movies, videos. I ask you to put a whole lot of information down. And the reason for that is social media, I know, gets really overwhelming, and you want to have like a cheat sheet that you can go to and grab content from on those days where you're not sure what to do, what to say. And so that is going to help you shore up your entire social themes. So that is action sheet number 3. And I will invite you, when you get to part 2 of that action sheet and you're beginning to fill in all of the questions I ask you about, to try to really stay within your boundaries. It's very easy on social media to lose your themes and your plot by going all over the place. This is also something that I've found when I do analysis for artists that are trying to get their own PR. I realize their messaging is so wildly all over the place that it does make it quite hard for the journalists or the writers or the bloggers or the podcasters to really get a good sense of what exactly they mean to be talking about. So that part of this action sheet, I really want you to keep those 4 to 5 themes in mind as you fill it out. So after you are through those 3 action sheets, the final one is the big one. And that is all about your pitch. This is an exercise that I designed just for this class, and I'm so excited about it. I sat down with my PR team and we reverse engineered how we write pitches. So that's something we do every day here because we're constantly putting ourselves out in front of media. And I made an exercise out of it. So on creating your media pitch, action sheet number 4, I ask you to write down several things like the genres you play, artists that inspire you, famous people or places or things that feel like they're your deep influences, a little nugget from your signature story, and then the feelings and the values that you want to convey and evoke. And I think that that is one area that artists don't spend a lot of time focused on. And the feelings and the values are something that could really, really help you stand apart from the crowds as you're going to pitch to the media, as you're trying to get your first placements. And to get those, you want to kind of ask yourself, why am I making music in the first place? What does my art bring to the world? What is the feeling that I want people to have when they listen to this music that I work so hard to create? And I'm always amazed that that goes missing from a lot of pitches. And that could absolutely be the difference between you landing something and not. So in creating your pitch, you're going to try to nail those. And then we're going to move into the obvious things like the release date of the single, your social media, your SoundCloud links. And something that you should know, if you are pitching to media, even though you want to get those Spotify plays up or you've got like a Dropbox because the tracks aren't out yet, the language that the media speaks is SoundCloud. So you do want to have your tracks that you're pitching uploaded to SoundCloud and ready for the media, even if they're set to private, if they're not out yet. SoundCloud is what the media expects you to pitch with. Very rarely have I found music blogs that are interested in Spotify links or any other kind of links. So SoundCloud is definitely a big piece of the puzzle here, and you will be getting your SoundCloud house in order. That's part of next week before we go out to pitch. But I do want to alert you, if you don't already have a SoundCloud account, definitely begin to play around with that platform. We will do that next week. And then the last part of the creating your pitch talks about your niche or niche. And many of you may not have a niche. You might just be looking to get your music written about, and that's perfectly okay. But many of you might have an additional niche. Are you a parent? Are you a healer? Are you a shaman? Are you doing something very interesting in your day job that folds into your musical life? Are you a mom? Is there something you want to talk about pertaining to your creative process and parenthood? Do you want to share something that is a huge hobby for you that maybe the themes come through, like being at one with nature or spending time on the road or traveling? All of those things are niches, and niches are incredibly important for getting publicity. Having a strong niche and going to like a mommy blog and talking about motherhood, for example, could be a fabulous way of being what I call a shark in a sea of tuna. In the media landscape, that means you've got something that definitely stands out from the rest of the pack who are just saying, listen to my music, check out my music, and you don't even know what's special or different. So at the end of action sheet 4, I actually ask you to write your pitch. You're going to look above at all those glorious answers that you came up with, and you're going to pen out your pitch. I will then challenge you to make a very short pitch for your Instagram, a tweet pitch, a 1-sentence pitch, and a 100-word pitch. Those are all important things to have in your toolbox as you go forward for trying to get PR. I also, on that action sheet, put a couple of examples of pitches that we have used with our own clients. So you'll see one for our new age band. They're called Flow. You'll see one for the beautiful Molly Cruz, who is one of our artists based out of Los Angeles. And then the third one you'll see is a niche-based pitch, so you can have a sense of what that looks like, for our artist, Sarah Sharp. And Sarah is a Texas-based artist, and so the niche that we went after for her, because she's very well known in her hometown of Austin, Texas, was her being from Austin, the Austin Music Awards that she received, the fact that she is a Black Fret winner, which is a award that you can get, a grant that you get in Austin. Plus, we were very specific to talk about her shows coming up in the Texas region and Austin area. And we also talked about a band that she had been known in Texas. So that's an example of a niche pitch. I invite you to look at those pitches to help you structure your own. So that's the action sheets for this week. And you're going to begin to think like a publicist thinks. This is what they're trained to do. Definitely use the Facebook private group. Ask me anything you'd like. So I just powered through a heck of a lot. I would love to turn it over to you guys to see if anyone has any questions, or if there are any areas that you would like me to cover a little bit more deeply. But just to recap, PR is all about measuring 50 times, cutting once. That is the point of your signature story with your nugget, your long form bio, getting your social media and your online presence all up in order. For those of you who maybe haven't spent a lot of time looking at brand, I'd be happy to throw a bonus action sheet into the mix. I just didn't want to overwhelm you. But I do have a color story guide that we use here for a lot of our clients when we go to redesign their websites or do graphics for them. It talks about colors and how they make people feel. So if any of you would be interested in that, I can post that as a bonus action sheet if you're feeling like maybe you want to realign your color story, or you'd like to really think about your theme colors. We can do that. And then after that, I'm going to get you in the practice of posting more frequently on social media if you have not been doing that. There's a little bonus for you. I tweeted at everyone whose handles I could find on Twitter yesterday. So if you go to twitter.com cyberprmusic, you will see I tweeted you, and I've added you all to the CyberPR Lab 1 Twitter list. So feel free to go and follow that list, follow each other. I mean, part of what I'd also like to see you guys do is get in the habit of getting to know each other, commenting on each other's posts, because another thing that journalists look at is how engaged are the fans of this person that I'm considering writing about. So very important to make sure not only are your lights on, but there are people home on your social channels. So you now have your own social media tribe, and I hope that you guys will lean on each other for comments and thumbs up and reshares and likes so that you can begin to practice that. I would love to hear from you guys about also what your intentions are. What are you going to be publicizing in this course, or why did you sign up? Is it, I mean, I see Steve has an album that is coming out, and so he's going to be promoting that. Do you guys have singles or EPs? Are there projects that are already existing? Because I will also, as we get into the pitching next week, show you how you can pitch something that might be a little bit older and not brand spanking new. It's a bit of a myth that you can only publicize brand new things. I know what happens to a lot of clients that come to me is they feel like they've released an EP or an album and they didn't quite get as much publicity as they had wanted. And yes, you can go back and revisit some of those things. So when you do write your pitch and submit it, and I'll put this up in the notices on the Facebook group, I would love to know about what you're promoting and what you would like to use this course for, if you know. Great. So if you have the question, Suze whispering, if you have multiple questions, multiple niches. So maybe you are a yoga instructor and a mom, or you're a healer and a fashion designer. I don't know. There could be many different niches that you would like to try for. First, you'll practice your general music pitch, and if you do have a niche to weave into that, great. And then you'll make a secondary pitch. So one example, and I can post this in the group, is a band that I've worked with on and off for many years. They're called the Nadas, and they're from Iowa. They're a wonderful band. They play roots rock, kind of Americana music, and we did a general music pitch for them about their forthcoming record and their 25th year as a band. They've been around a minute, so that was kind of our overarching pitch. And then we had a couple of niches. One of the niches was Iowa band. They are getting inducted into the Iowa Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we had a separate pitch for Iowa and that. And then there was a third pitch that we created for them. One of the guys in the band has a son who has autism, and he wrote a beautiful song for his son, who he calls his greatest teacher. And so we wrote an entire pitch just based on Henry James. And I will teach you how to do this. You can calendar for events like that. So there is a World Autism Month, there is World Autism Day, there is autism awareness stuff that crops up all over the calendars throughout the year, because it is obviously something that many, many people are sadly becoming more and more aware of, as so many kids are being diagnosed. So we aligned the calendar to go with the Autism Awareness Month, and we lined up that pitch for that specific time. So if you have holiday songs or songs about heartbreak or something that's commemorative for September 11th, I mean, people write all kinds of beautiful themes into their music, and certainly you can use them when it is appropriate and timely. So for those of you that have many niches, try to focus on the music pitch first, and then you'll write sub pitches for each one of your niches, and I will help you hone those.
Which pitch do you want? What are the first 10? Small pitch or
Okay, so which pitch out of all of those pitches that I asked you to write should you write first? When you take yourself through the media pitch action sheet, I'm asking you to first write the main media pitch. So that pitch is usually, I don't know, about 3 very short paragraphs. You do not want to overwhelm the media with a huge, this is my whole life pitch. It will never get read. So if you look at the examples of Molly and Flo and Sarah, you can see the length of those pitches. And the big kind of thing with writing pitches is you write the pitch, and then you spend a lot of time, kind of like with songwriting, going, do I really need that word? Do I need that word? Can I condense that in some way? How do I start this paragraph so that it packs a punch, so that if someone is just, skimming the email, they get the gist? So you're going to write the main pitch, about 2 to 3 short paragraphs, with also your SoundCloud link, your socials, and your release date highlighted. And then you can always read more about me here. You can link to a bio, you can link to socials, you can do all kinds of things, but you do not want to clog your pitch with too much. So that's the first pitch to write. And then after that one feels good, you can move into your Instagram pitch and your Twitter pitch and all the other pitches that I do mention on that action sheet. Yes, okay. So singles are, the question is, what are my feelings about promoting singles? My feelings are you must promote your singles and do not try to shove a whole CD or 12 tracks down a journalist's throat. Not in 2018. That is bad practice. So choose your best 2 or 3 songs if you've got a whole album coming out. And one other exercise that I was going to save till next week's Action Cheese, but I am going to have you write about each single. That's coming up next week. Just first try to get your general pitch down, but you do want to keep in mind when you're writing your pitch that the media and the music blogs especially really only write about one track at a time. Full album reviews are very sadly a thing of the past. There are some publications that will review whole albums, but I tend to see a trend with that, and the trend is the artist has to be very, very well known. So you'll see if like a blue chip artist puts out a new album, you might see a full album review. But for the most part, music blogs, and even when we worked with Sarah Sharp's last release, we got her a premiere in the Austin American-Statesman, which is her hometown, but they only premiered the single. So we are living in a singles-based world now. It doesn't mean that your whole album doesn't count, but from a PR perspective, you should definitely be thinking about your pitch, your niches, and that's the other good thing. If you've got songs that are topical, that fit into niches that feel good for you, you can pitch those individually, and I definitely advise that you do so. Are there any other questions, Suze?
Adam wanted to know, I write and sing funny, witty songs about sex. Is that a pitch or a signature story?
I write and sing funny songs about sex. Is it a pitch or a signature story? Huh. It's kind of both. Is it, I mean, there must be a reason that you do that, right? So that's probably in your signature story. And I would imagine, of course, because that's part of the content, it sounds like they will cross over for you. So that totally works. And everybody enjoyed that one. Okay. Anything else on anyone's mind? Suze is sending up the action sheets, but you will also find those in the Facebook group. So kind of to summarize and wrap up, we are coming up on 45 minutes.
Oh. We recommend having videos on Facebook rather than pointing people to YouTube, but embedded in Facebook.
Oh, okay, so this is a social media question Len was asking. Here's the thing about YouTube, which is owned by Google, and Facebook, which is owned by Mark Zuckerberg. They don't like each other. So a lot of you may have noticed that if you've got a video up on YouTube and you embed it into Facebook, like nobody sees it, there's a reason for that. Facebook knows what a Google link looks like, and they restrict even more views, which totally blows. So if you do want to promote your videos, you want to upload them natively to Facebook. And therefore, you can pay Facebook money to show those videos to not only your fans, but to some other audiences. So absolutely, if you are doing video content, you want to natively upload to Facebook separately from natively uploading to YouTube. That is definitely a thing. If you are going to be pitching videos to the media, I will talk about that as well in next week's when we get to pitching, so that when you do post your pitches in the forums and what you're going to be promoting, if you do have a video, please let me know, because I definitely want to cover how to pitch videos and video content, exclusive videos, and premieres as well. Those are all topics around videos.
What about pitching to sing national anthems?
Pitching to sing national anthems is so fun. Definitely, you of course want to have a great video of yourself doing the national anthem, because I know a lot of the sports offices like to see exactly what they will be getting. From what I understand, and I can ask a couple of my artists that have done a lot of national anthems, I think for the most part, they like it traditional. Like, don't try to do a crazy Roseanne version of the national anthem. You want to stick with the plot. You can, of course, do a flair of your own. But yes, if you can make a video of you, or if you've done past national anthems and you have a very good video of that, absolutely, that goes right in the pitch. It's like, here's what I do, and it's right there for everyone to see. So have a wonderful rest of your day, your evening, your morning, whenever you're watching this. I am so excited to have you in labs. I am so honored. I am so happy that I get to do this work.